Hi, I am Tu Rinsha, author and host of Due Diligence, and I am here with Mahendra Pandey. I'm super excited to have him join us. He is the founder of the Global Migrant Workers Network, and we're going to be talking about his work with migrant workers, his journey, but also any key insights he has around the evolution of human business and human rights. But Mahendra, welcome. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. Great to be with you.
A lot of my writing has focused on really around reinforcing the human-centered approach to human rights due diligence. And a lot of that deals with people, right? And having people be the heart of why we do this work. We talk about worker agency and worker empowerment and worker voice. And Mahendra has an incredible journey, having founded an organization that speaks directly to that, specifically on behalf of migrant workers around the world, the people who produce the products, the people who are behind the global supply chains that we are trying to improve upon. But Mahendra, tell us a little bit about your journey and how you got involved in doing this work.
Sure. Before I joined to this moment, and I was a migrant worker myself, and I worked in Saudi Arabia. My dad was also a migrant worker, and he worked in Saudi Arabia for 14 years. And I have seen all the challenges and difficulties and the journey and lived experience that other millions of migrant workers they face, especially Middle East and Gulf. And since I had that lived experience and my own struggle, my own journey, and since I was growing up and since childhood, and I have seen all the pattern of migrations, and that is the reasons, and I wanted to create that Global Migrant Worker Network, first just to share our own experience and our own story in the common platform, and just to make sure that we are not alone, even though our story are common and our struggle are similar, and just to making sure that every migrant worker is one of us, and every migrant worker has a similar story, but we have also power, and we have also shared to things to share, and at the same time, we can be part of change, and without us, nothing us.
Mm-hmm. One of the key steps of human rights due diligence is around stakeholder engagement and really ensuring that the voices of rights holders are part of the conversation, but also as part of the solution. And the work that Mahendra is doing with his organization is so critically important in ensuring that that is being heard, that migrant workers' voices are being heard. I know that in addition to being the founder of the Global Migrant Workers Network, you're also one of the leaders at Humanity United, leading the forced labor program. In your dual hat experience, right, working for a well-known organization like Humanity United, but also deeply with the grassroots community around the world, specifically migrant workers, how are you seeing kind of the evolution of the engagement between business and workers in civil society with regards to the issues that are important for your group?
Sure, thank you. So compared to few years back, these days there has been many discussions, many engagements, many young people and many people from around the world, like yourself, has a deep interest to supporting migrant workers, supporting survivor, understanding the root causes. But those are not enough yet, even though there is a clear good intentions. Like if you look the data, like few years back of the number and the data of the modern slavery, and today is every day is rising. Every day is there is a story of struggle, story of pain, and the difficulties is rising. It means there is not enough, and that's why I think there need to be more engagement from the private sectors, more engagement from the government, and more engagement from the influential people around the world. First, understanding why that is happening, and second, trying to listen to the migrant worker and survivor and the real people. And for example, today we are wearing this coat and this clothes, and we need to make sure that who are the people who are delivering food, and who are making clothes, and how much money they get, and whether that money is good enough to survive their family, survive their life or not, and those kind of things is really asking many migrant workers and survivors from the private sectors and from the government to first understand, and then second the respect their work and dignity, and third support and trust them.
So how can we do that, Mahendra? Like, what can government, what can companies, what can the stakeholders who are involved in the human rights due diligence process do more of? Like, what would good look like in your opinion?
So there are many investigations, research happening around the world through university, from academicians, and also from the corporate world. They have also their own unit to create a human rights and sustainability team, but there is not enough interactions, not enough engagement. There is not many survivor and migrant worker in the decision making table, and without engaging with them, and you wouldn't understand the problems and the reality, and without understanding and the problem and the reality, you wouldn't know what is the solution, and how you can address those things.
That is a great point, and that's something that I heard repeatedly when I was at the UN Forum for Human Rights in Geneva in 2025, was really that migrant workers, that survivors need to be at the table. They need to be part of the solutions. Here at Due Diligence, what I'm trying to produce, we're obsessed with actionable insight. What are two things that you would want to leave our audience with in terms of what they can do better?
So for the audience, whether you are working in the human rights field, or whether you are working in the corporate sectors or government, or you are running own business, or you are students, or whether you are players or sport persons, and just to when you eat, when you wear, when you sleep in the hotels or room, make sure that who are contributing in your daily life. If those things are contributed by migrant workers and people from the grounds, and without their contributions, your life cannot be day-to-day life. And then trying to respect and understand and support them. How you can respect them? One example, if this cloth is being made by cheap labor or forced labor, and avoid that. And how you can avoid those things? There are number of indicators, number of tools. Many organizations, they have a list, and many organizations, and they're trying to do the fair labor and paying minimum wage, and trying to sign the worker-friendly policy, trying to sign the ethical standard, and those kind of things you can practice daily.
Yeah, and there's going to be in our Substack written Q&A with Mahendra, there will be some resources for all of you to follow, but also take a look at. And lastly, just to leave on a final note and positive note, what are you most excited about? We're in 2026, it's January. What are you looking forward to, Mahendra?
I know I'm always an optimist person. I like to see things better, and there are many people. For example, I just share about the story of the Global Migrant Worker Network. Global Migrant Worker Network is a survivor-led and worker-led organizations, and from the Global South, and they have around 23,000 members, and most of whom are women migrant workers, and from Africa and Asia, different part of the world. Every day, when I hear their story, when I engage with them, and I always find such a courageous people. They have a hope, they have a dream, and in order to help their family, in order to contribute their country and the economy, they sacrifice their life. But when they come back home after duty, and after doing the construction work in the 50-degree temperature in Middle East and Dubai and Qatar, when they come back to the home, and when they call with me on the WhatsApp or Viber, they always smile, they always have a joy. And I would like to encourage your audience to maybe more engage with them. And if you want to have more joy and more happiness, look them and be with them, and you will find the hope.
What a wonderful thought to end our interview. Like I said, human rights due diligence is a human-centered approach. It is critical that we think of the people behind the brands, behind the clothes, behind the supply chains. And I couldn't thank Mahendra enough to be here to share kind of his experience as not only a migrant worker, but as a founder, as a leader in our space, working directly with migrant workers around the world. But thank you so much, Mahendra, for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. And
Thanks, everyone.